Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hello folks and welcome to Inkdependence.com. Today we have another Aurora. I know, I already did the 88, but this is a very fancy 88. For one thing, it is a limited edition yellow and gold finish. You don't find this usually in the line. It looks just like the black 88 that we had before, except it's got a yellow body instead of a black body. So this will be coming out soon if it's not already out. It's limited in terms of pieces. I forget how many. I remember there being an 88, so it's maybe like 88 of them or 188, something like that. But you can find more information on that from Kenro when it comes out. The second thing that is cool about this one is that it has the fancy new. Let me get this too. There we go. This is the flex-noob. I'll have some pictures. In fact, I'll put one here of the two nibs side by side. You can see the regular nib is much shorter in terms of tines. It just looks a lot different from the flex nib. The flex nib is configured differently. So today we're going to give that a short test. I am not a flex nib writer. I don't really have any other nibs with flex on them aside from perhaps... I've got a Wall Eversharp Skyliner, Skyliner 50, which has got flex on the nib, at least semi-flex anyway. This is not going to be as good as a dip pen in terms of flex. It's not going to be like old school vintage flex, but it is a new school nib. Aurora is making these in their factory in Italy. These are not coming from some other nib maker. They have their own nibmeister. They made new dies or whatever to make this kind of cool new nib. You can see the edge of the nib wraps around the feed just like the other 88 nib did. These are a removable nib unit, so if you get one of these pens and you want to have a flex nib sometimes and like I don't know, something else other times, fine or something, you can take these out. The way you do it is you put your thumb here, you put your finger around the feed, and you just kind of twist very gently. And it'll come out, and it's a pretty long nib unit. Like, it's about this long. Oops, sorry, out of frame. It's about this long, which is really long for a nib unit. Most of them are like this. Anyway, this has super long tines. You can also see, give it some background. Here, I'll use this for background. There we go. There we go. Focus. Yeah, so you can see there's a lot of tine there in front of where the feed ends. It is marked an F. I'm not sure if that means that this is supposed to be a fine nib, and I'm pretty sure they just used a fine feed or something like this for the flex nib. Actually, that F could just be for flex, because this isn't really a very fine nib in terms of actual nib size, tip size, and line width and that sort of thing. It's kind of, it's more medium-ish, medium fine, I would say, really. Anyway, this is it's got the ebonite feed just like the rest of them. And so that's it for looks. It's got more of a sort of a classic look to it as far as the ornamentation. It is a 14K nib, of course. It says Aurora, Italy, and that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot else. So it's sort of a more vintagey look from the Aurora than the new stuff. All right, so let's put this through some paces, put it on some different papers, see how it works, answer some questions I got from the Slack channel, the Pen Addict Slack channel. If you're not on there, maybe think about getting in that. It's kind of fun to chat and that sort of jazz. Anyway, so let's take a look at this guy. Okay, this is just a Rhodia dot pad. It's regular old Rhodia dot pad that I use for all my ink reviews, that kind of jazz. I'm zoomed in kind of far here. I'm not sure how well it's going to focus. Oh, there we go, pretty well. So how much can you flex this nib? Kind of at least double the standard line weight that it comes with, so like that, which is pretty good, and it will hold that flex pretty well. I haven't had any issues with the tines becoming misaligned. That was also asked on the Slack channel. They always seem to come back to true, and so that's good. The other thing, so my comparisons for this are like the Noodler's Neponset pen, which is a music nib that's a flex music nib supposedly, and you can flex it, and it goes like this, and then sometimes when you unflex it, they come up like this, or they go over this way, or whatever. The tines get all misaligned. I have not had that problem at all with this two-tine flex nib from Aurora, so that has behaved admirably. It's also worked perfectly well for normal writing. As I mentioned, I am not really a flex writer, so this is going to be total amateur hour with Aurora Flex. So this is Aurora 88 with a flex nib. Also, the ink on here, I'm getting a lot of shine off the ink. That's fun. The ink in here is Aurora Blue Black. And I've been writing kind of quickly, and it has had no problem keeping up. The feed is definitely wet enough to support normal writing stuff. So that's pretty good. Let's give it a few little swirlies. And the nib comes back just fine. So no real problems. This nib was having a few little hard starts when I was using it before, and I attribute that to a few things, perhaps. One is that this pen has apparently been through hundreds of people's hands. It's been to shows, it's been to Kenro events, it's done its duty. So this nib has been around the world a little bit, and so it might be in a little bit worse shape than it should be. For review, but even given that, working admirably. The other thing that might be causing a couple of my hard starts, and there were none here, which is nice. So yeah, no problems here. Every line direction seems fine. No big deal, but it could be the ink a little bit. This has got Aurora Blue Black in it, and Aurora Blue Black is a little bit on the drier side, I think, from using it in a bunch of other pens. I've got it in like 3 other pens right now, so it seems to me that it's a little bit on the dry side, and that might not be great for a flex pen. I probably should have loaded it up with Aurora Blue Black, but there's only one of these pens like this, and I need to get it back to carry. So this is going to, it's going to be an Aurora Blue Black day. This is what Aurora Blue Black looks like, by the way, if you want to check that out. And it looks good, I think. It's a real nice blue-black. You see a lot of nice blue in there. It shades to a black. It's a blue-black that definitely tends blue instead of tending like green or some weird thing. So that's great. This pen can hold a nice flexed line. Here is the regular. Oh, sorry. There we go. I was a little bit off the paper. There we go. It's no pressure at all. Let's give it some flex. Oh, railroaded. Gonna come back. It's gonna need a little bit of coaxing. There we go. It's losing, as you watch it, it loses surface tension between the tines, and so that makes me think that it's probably a case that somebody has overflexed this just a little bit, and so it's not quite flush against the feed, which is something that can happen. I'm not going to adjust it because it's not my pen. The other thing that can happen is that this nib is a little bit, or this ink is a little bit dry, and so I think maybe it's losing surface tension all on its own, and so I'm not going to blame the nib for that. Let's give it another shot. I'll give it there we go. Let's maybe ease it in. Yep, started flexing, started railroading eventually. Comes back quickly though, so if you go more slowly, I was maybe going just too fast. Yeah, all right, good. We're in business now. Oh, pop. So you can see, actually there is an interesting view. It's right here. You can see it's like heavier there, and then it comes back. So this is where the bubble popped between the tines. What I'm talking about is you're writing, you flex it. Look at that railroad. It's a nice railroad. But I think that's, I'm going to say it's probably more due to the ink. I wouldn't necessarily say this is the best ink to showcase this pen's abilities. It does seem to be going real well mostly. The thing I have to remember is to go slower. I'm not good at remembering to go more slowly. Alright, so that's on Rhodia. Let's give it, let's try it on something else. What else do we got around here? Let's use this G Lalo paper. This is G Lalo, where's the pad? There it is. Verge de France. It's got a very nice cover, that's fun. This paper does have a bit of a texture to it, which is interesting. It also means that it's not great with some pens. Let's see if you can see the texture. Not too much. You can definitely feel it, and you can probably see a little bit of the weave, but this is a very heavy bond, and it's a very, it's quite textured. So if you're using a fine nib, sometimes the bumps in the paper will disrupt the ink flow, and it's a little bit weird, but I was using it with a Pelican, it worked great. Let's see how it works with Aurora. This is the Aurora 88 with a flex nib. A big... Yep. working okay, actually. As I said, this paper is textured, and so it's going to be a little bit weird. I got a little bit of a railroad right there in the end, but I'm not totally surprised, given that I've been waving this around with the cap off and all that sort of jazz. So I'm getting railroads, which is unfortunate right now that it's doing it on camera. But there you go. It's not railroading all the time. So yeah, I'm going for it. This is probably an ink issue. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go clean this ink out real quick, and then I'll come back, and I'll do it with Aurora Black in it, just to see how that works. I think it'll actually work better. So I'll be right back. And we're back. So hopefully the video worked out and you saw a little vignette of me refilling this pen. I cleaned it out, refilled it, no big deal. These are really easy to clean out and refill because you can just unscrew the nib unit, flush that out with a baby nose snot sucker gadget. I don't know if they call that thing actually, a bulb syringe, that's the thing. And then shoot water up into the body of the pen. The chamber to clean it out with a regular blunt syringe. So easy to clean out, easy to dry, all that jazz. So here we have Aurora Black in this pen. I tested it out briefly and it seems to work much better. So let's go ahead and do this again. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Cool. All right, so this is an Aurora 88 with a flex nib. Yeah, so this ink is much wetter than the previous ink, the blue-black. Aurora Black is notorious for being awesomely wet and also working in every pen and nib. So I don't see any skips here. I don't see any railroading at all. Let's go ahead and do some squiggles. Yeah, no problems at all. Let's give it some flex line. Yep, good. So as I suspected, the real culprit there was the ink. The culprit was not. Let me give you a reference line for the regular. So as I suspected, the culprit was the ink and not the nib. The nib has no problems keeping up with a long line of flexed writing. This is all the way across when you put in the right ink. So no problem at all. And you can see the difference in line weight between the flexed and unflexed. And actually look at that little dots. Yeah, good. So with the right ink, I think this nib is actually quite good. Let's go back over here to the Rhodia pad, which was giving us railroading and all kinds of stuff. Here's a regular width. Here's a flex line. Yep, no problem at all on the Rhodia. So yep, good stuff. All right, can I handle quick writing? Yep. No problem at all. What else was asked? Ink flow. A little bit, I'd say pretty normal ink flow. I mean, it's higher because it has the flex nib feed sort of thing going on there. It seems to flow pretty well. I think just it had a little bit of dry flow with the blue-black. Drier anyway than the blue. Aurora Blue tends to be, or rather than the black, which is this. Aurora Blue tends to be on the dry side, I find, and the black seems to be on the wet side. So blue-black is somewhere in between. I think it's a little bit on the drier side. Railroading, we've already seen, no big deal. Trouble keeping up with long lines? Nope. How far can you push it? I've already showed, but at least double, probably triple the line weight. It does seem to have no problem at all coming back from that. Writes perfectly. What else? To the times of your line, we talked about that. And does it remain smooth? You're not flexing it. So yes. I've used this to take pages and pages and pages of notes. Actually, I've been making a new class for my philosophy classes, and I've had no problems using this as sort of a daily writer. I haven't taken it with me to class, just I haven't, but for writing pages and pages of notes, no problem. So this is a great pen for everyday use, I think. It does tend to give you a bit like of just sort of casual flex as you're writing. So yeah, I really like this with Aurora Black. So pair this with Aurora Black or whatever your other like favorite wet nib of choice or wet ink of choice is, and I think it will be great. No problem at all doing that. So that's great. I'm really happy about that working better. Let's just keep. Sorry, there's a bump there. Just go ahead and just keep giving it some squiggles. See if I can make it railroad. And the answer is, can't really make it railroad, actually. I did also make sure the feed was like, I mean, it's primed a little bit because it was just filled, but I do blot it and and all that sort of thing. So this is not just residual. This is the feed keeping up just fine. So there you go. All right, so this has been the Aurora 88 in yellow, which is a great color. It's also coming in orange, which is terrible for me because the price on this guy is actually, I don't know what the street price of this is going to be. It's going to be hitting the your retailers and stuff like in the next week or two. The black one will, and I guess the yellow one will. Wait, black? Yeah, I want to say black. I don't know. Check the colors. There are going to be 8 different colors in the flex nib with like, or 8 different colors of the 88 with the flex nib over the next like 8 months. They're doing like a slow rollout. So you can check Kenro's site for information about that. Check their Twitter and all that jazz. Follow Carrie on Fountain Pen Day. Check out my feed, Ink Dependence, on Instagram and such to see more news about these as they come out. So if you're interested in these, definitely check that out. If you like some flex, it's not as flexy as vintage flex. It doesn't flex like all the time. It's not like all of a sudden like that. It's more gradual. It requires a little bit more force, but this nib is good. I appreciate it just as a normal writer, and so there you go. All right, that's it. I'm Mike. This is Ink Dependence. Check out all these things at the end card. Subscribe, like, thumbs up, bell. I don't know. Do the YouTube things. That's it. All right, that's it. Peace out. Bye-bye.